Hey, Cleaning Nation. This episode is taken from some coaching calls that Mike did with our clients that we thought would bring tons of value to you. We hope you enjoy. And now on to the show.
Question. I need help with talking core values with employees who are not working according to the values. I don't think I've been effective. I have 3 cleaners, 2 A players and 1 B players, and 3 floaters who want to be cleaners. Great. The problems that keep showing up in my floaters are not being thorough on the cleaning. So that's easy. Let me finish it. Well, let me answer that question. I'll go back to the first one, but this is such an easy one. Let's just knock it off while we're here. The floaters are trying to earn their way on the spot. So if they're not an A, that's it. They just lost their, the deal is, hey, Sally, I'd love to have you on. I've got this many people that want in this many spots. So if you're willing to be a floater for the next, and I give them a hard thing, no more than 30 days. The rules are you got to show up 100% of the time I call you, and you got to do better than everyone else that's on the team. We will 100% get you on the deal. And if she shows up as a C one time, I'm like, okay, well, that'll just be that. Hey, the deal was that I just take them off the floaters. Like, they're trying to earn their way onto the team. And it's like, if it's our first date and I'm late and a little rude to you, how do you think I'm going to be on our 21st date? Kind and on time? This is the best foot forward me. Could you imagine jerk me later? Same with the floater. If this is their best thing and it ain't great, moving on.
Okay. So when I come to this realization that, one of these floaters just absolutely isn't going to work it, she's not detailed enough on her cleans. Do I just tell her that, to say, hey, we tried this, it's not working, we're not getting the details, so it's time to part ways. So I just let her know that right away.
So make sure you set the frame properly at the beginning. And you're like, well, I can't do that now, but going forward, you can. So set the frame, just like I said, you're trying to earn your way on this team. You can't just be good. You have to be great, because what you're really saying is, if we don't get any work, I'd like some of the hours of people you've got, which is fine, but you gotta be a rock star, right? So if you show up most of the time and you do kind of good, and I would define what a rock star is. And the cool thing is, we already have it for the 4 traits that show up for the raise. Core values match, show up on time every time, do jobs in the time or allotted or better, and get only positive reviews and no negative reviews. Notice what wasn't in there is the cleaning quality. So that's what I love about customer happiness. You can have them focus more highly on floaters or new people. And if I don't think the clean was great, but every single person I call says they did a great job, I'm going to be pretty lenient. Same thing with, we have salespeople that I could pick apart their call. I'm like, ugh, but they're enrolling at a high rate and they're enrolling good clients. Shut my mouth, right? Some of you guys are enrolling really high rate, and I'm like, get off my goddamn sales call, because I'm just going to get in the way of it. Whatever you're doing, if it's working, it's working. So I'm not saying there's zero value on how the quality is, but I weigh 90-10 heavy on what the client says.
Okay. No, yeah, I'm thinking through it. There have been some, not customers calling to complain, but through our customer happiness manager checks, just some mediocre responses to some of these.
So then I would be very articulate in that. With the floaters, we have the customer happiness manager call every other of your job as opposed to every 10 jobs with our regular team. We need 100% for you to get on the real team. We need 100% I'm in. And the cool thing is, you're like, well, if I do this, most people won't want to be floaters. I'm like, I know, that's the whole point. We're trying to get the best of the best, right? You're like, with getting into the SEAL training thing, it's like, well, 90% of those dudes fall out. I know, that's the whole point. We're trying to get the people that got it. So it's okay with the flow. In the end, you're dating these people, not married. So you don't have to, if we go on a date or two and you're like, well, that'll just be that. You don't owe me anything. We had agreed we'll date, and at some point one of us won't want to date, and that'll be that, or we'll get married and that'll be that. So I wouldn't feel like, hey, appreciate this. And if they ask in bad faith, I'm probably not going to spend much time on it. But if they ask in good faith, I'll tell them exactly what happened.
Okay, great.
Cool. So let me finish. Not reading the notes in the calendar, so they miss key tasks, being slow to respond. Yeah, all of that. So the cool thing is, again, I love the dating thing. So say you and I go on or not you and I, me and several women, I've dated a bunch of women, and quote unquote, they're all jerks. Well, that's really hard to fix, right? But if I'm like, Shawn, and this is the same, I was doing this in the, I think I was doing this in the training that I was re-recording, some of you joined. It's really hard to tell someone to stop being a jerk. But if you really break that down into behaviors, it's pretty easy. So if a jerk means when other people talk, they don't listen, they look at their phone. When, when someone says something, instead of saying, yes, I did that, I'm sorry, how can I get better? they pass blame. Like those are very specific actions you can give. So to the degree that you can, when you get a floater, if you're not going to be specific to him or her, because again, you're just dating, you don't owe them like a full explanation. Be specific on, if it's something you're seeing a lot, be specific to the new floater. So the new girl I'm dating is like, hey, the last girl I was dating didn't want to have kids, and kids are very important to me, as opposed to that last girl I had wasn't a fit. Well, that doesn't mean anything. But if I say I want 9 kids and she only wanted to have 2, and this girl's like, well, I would only like to have 2 kids, cool. As opposed to we didn't agree on something. And how do you know? So I would take this as feed. If it's just a crazy thing, you don't worry about it. But I would take this as feedback. If you feel like you're getting this constantly, you can just be clear on the first date. Here's what we're expecting. And they can just, I'd rather offer the floater job to 10 people, have 3 say yes, but 2 or 3 of the 3 get in, than offer the floater job to 10 people, 8 say yes, but only 2 or 3 get in, because it's just a bunch of wasted time.
Okay. Yeah. I need to be more selective with the floaters that I hire. I got it. That's what I just learned.
Or just pay attention, or just set the standard higher and watch how they respond.
Yeah. Set the standard higher, which may weed out some people who don't intend to meet that standard. Yeah.
And clear. So higher and clear.
Yeah. Okay.
And it may weed them out. It may also upgrade them, where they go, oh shit, this is a place where standards are upheld. All right. I want to, again, you go to the SEALs, there's guys that perform at a much higher rate than they even thought they could. Cause it's like, I'm around other men they're on it. Okay. Does that answer all of it, or do you need me to go back to the?
I think that answers all of it. If I continue to have, I still don't feel like I would be very strong trying to have a discussion on core values.
So would it be best for you to role play being the Shawn in the conversation, or would it be best for me to role play being the Shawn and you being the employee?
Probably being the employee. Yeah, being the employee.
Okay. And this is recorded, so just feel free to be the employee and respond how they would, and then you kind of go back and listen to it without having to. Don't try and take everything in at once.
Yeah.
And I think this will be good for everybody, because I think I do this kind of a role play once a month, and probably good for people like, oh yeah, I need to hear that again.
Yeah.
And I had a really good one for those of you guys that weren't on the new training calls that we're recording. They're obviously recorded because I just recorded the core values one yesterday. It should be up today or tomorrow. I had a really good role play with a girl that was like a perfect, anyway, it worked out really well. So we'll do it here, but I would check that one as well. Okay. And you just be the employee that we had. So what's the, well, hold on. I need your core values real quick so I can role play this properly. What's your core values?
Be positive. Do your best. Be nice. I cannot remember. Oh, be helpful. Help out.
Ooh, that's a tough one. When I hear, I cannot remember the 4th one. There's a 0 chance that your employees know any of them, right? It's got to be.
And I got them out of order too. Yeah. Usually they don't usually roll off my tongue. So
they have to. So literally, if you have to go, have fun, make money, be real, help out, have fun, make money, be real, help out, have fun, make money, be real, help out. But you want people to be able to, again, if your employees aren't mocking you doing the core values at some point, then it's not.
Yeah.
So give me the behavior that you did that I'm talking with you about.
I've called out sick too many times in the last month.
So that's not a core values conversation. That's a standards conversation. So what are your standards for excused and unexcused absences? Like, that's just that. Like for me, unexcused absent might be, and that would be within like 48, 72 hours, you get to pick 2 or 3 a quarter would be the max.
Yeah.
A quarter, not a month.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they use all 2 or 3 of their in the first 2 weeks, well, if they call out again, and if they have another unexcused absence, that's just the end of that. Like, there's no conversation. And then same with the excused. I might give 7 over a quarter, or one time, if once a year, if they're like, hey, we have a 2-week vacation or something, like, 1 exception per year, but generally like, X amount per quarter. And that's not a core values thing. It's just it's pass fail.
Got it. Okay. Well, then that'll be easy to fix because it's just a numbers thing.
Well, but your job is to set the standard. So you can't retroactively go, here's the excused and unexcused policy I had in my head, and you violate it, so you're out. Mm-hmm. If they know the policy and you haven't upheld it, you've got 2 odds. So if you haven't communicated, it's all your fault. You just go, it is 100% my fault. And I would do this at a weekly meeting, and I wouldn't call out Sally as the one. I would just say to everybody, my fault. I haven't communicated or re-emphasized the policy for attendance. Here's what it is. For everybody, and I would just be clear. And then I'd go to Sally and go, hey, you're already over, so it's not fair to give you, fire you retroactively, but you get one more excused absence this quarter. Cool. Or up until the next, whenever your next quarterly review is, and you get to, do a fair thing for her where it's like, because I don't want it to reset. So you've only got a month before the next quarterly meeting,
Right.
and she's already had a bunch of excused absences, and you're like, well, you get to start from zero. Like, I don't want that, but I also don't want her to be like, you don't get any, you've taken them all, and now you have nothing. Like, so just make a fair deal with Sally privately of. So if you haven't explained it, you have to explain it. If you have explained it but didn't uphold it, and everyone kind of knew that, like, there's a lot of laws that are like, hey, those don't get enforced, and all of a sudden they enforce on one guy. You go, that's not just. If you've been that leader, then I do the same thing in the weekly meeting. Hey, everybody, I've done a bad job. I'm not going to do a bad job anymore. This is what time it is. And then if they know, and you just haven't held accountable, then Sally just gets fired.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay,
not a core values conversation. Just this is how this works conversation.
Yeah, and just need to kind of reframe it. Okay,
cool. And as you know, no call, no show is always an immediate fire. Yeah. Unexcused absences. I called in 6 minutes before my thing and said I can't show. Or 6 hours, whatever your standard is, we don't care. Like, they have to, and you can even make a standard of that. If you don't call in within an hour of your thing, that's a no call, no show. Like, you get to call.
Yeah, and I do, that one is clear, and that one is religiously enforced.
So you can start there. I feel like I've done a really good job communicating and enforcing this part of our policy. I've really dropped the ball on that. Because again, I could yell at Jessica, but whose fault is it really? This guy, right? Jessica's following the rules that I enforce. So if I yell at her, maybe 10%, but 90% is this way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can fix that. That's easy.
Cool. See, again, specificity, right? When you're like, hey, employees misbehaving, or what they not misbehaving, but acting what I think is a core values mismatch. It's like, oh no, that's not a core value. I mean, it is also a core values thing, but you don't even have to get down to that, because it's just like if you do this, you're fired. Like, there's really no. Okay. You feel good?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented, and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon.
Okay, question. Super high turnovers. Interviews are great. Candidates answer the questions right and tell me what I need to hear, but they get hired once they start. It's like a person disappeared, someone else showed up. Question 2, how do we suggest we track one-time cleanings just for tracking? Oh, these are good. Let me answer number 2 first, and then we'll go back to number 1. How do I track one-time cleanings? So because I don't coach doing them, I don't have most of the stuff you ask, I'm like, oh yeah, here's how we do that. So I'm going to answer if I chose to do, and again, for everyone, residential mostly, well, commercial too, I guess. The only way I'm going to do one-time cleanings is if I feel there's at least a 30-40% chance. Like if I have to do more than 3 or 4 one-time cleanings to get a recurring client, I'm not going to do a one-time cleaning. And I know for some of you are like, actually talk to a Don, because I think he felt this way. Maybe he still does. But it's money and I get it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I know, but I promise you it's bad money. Like if you need money to pay bills, I'm never going to fight you. But if it's for money, let's talk about the real problem in your business, right? The business should be making you that money. If it's to get clients, which is the only way I would do it, if I have to do more than 3, I'm out. So that would be my standard. If I'm doing 5, 6, 7 one-time cleanings and I'm like, but I make money, but none of them are converting, or after 7, I get 1, I'm not doing that. But if every, I do 3, 4 cleanings, 2, 3 cleanings, and I get 1 new client every time, that's a good client, I'll do as many of those as I can get. So that's, and again, you can change your standard, but that's how I would think about it. But if I was going to track it, and I would note it in the tracker too. Like if it was a Google review, if it was an LSA or however these one-time cleanings are coming in, if I'm getting them, I'm really just tracking how many, all I would want to know is how many one-time cleanings I'm doing versus how many are converting. That's really what I want to know. The revenue I don't care about, because I really believe it's not, it's vapor. It's fake. It's not real money. Right. So how would I would track.
That is basically what I want to know. It's like, what am I converting and how many I'm getting that are not. So what am I doing?
I would leave a note in your marketing tracker. So wherever the one-time cleanings are come from, let's just say it's Facebook, you got a Facebook ad running. So in the Facebook ad, when you have 9 leads, I would put a little note in that cell that said, of those 9 leads, we did 3 one-time cleans. And then in bids, I would say, of these bids, one of them was a one-time clean. And then one of the 3 one-time clean turned into a bid. And then of the sales, we got 1. So I would just make a note and track it that way. If and when I was getting that more than 30% of the one-times converting, and it was like, I could really scale this. I could get 10 new clients if I did 30 one-time cleans. Then I'd set up a bigger infrastructure for it. But what I'm telling you is great if you do 0 to 5 or 6 or 7 one-time cleans a month. Like that's what I would do. If you're like, no, I'm doing 20 and 7 of them are cleaning, then I would set up a whole different infrastructure for that.
Okay.
Is that helpful for the level you're at now? And if it gets bigger,
Yeah.
we can have a conversation again. Okay. When it comes to the hiring, let me go to the data. So let me pull up your funnel and we'll start there. And if we need to go further beyond the data, we will, but 80% of the time, the data gets us what we need. All right. So just so you know, your spend average hire is, gosh, you've got cost per start is $175 a start. So anytime you're spending less than $175, I would expect my starts to be 0 to 1, if that makes sense. So the budget could be a little thin. We'll see. You're getting, I guess we could get fancy here. What are you're getting applications from 70 cents to $1.30, which is god dang ridiculous. So that is not the problem. This is the problem. So how did you you need to yell at somebody. How did you have 2 applicants, but 18? So this is a mistake. Something's goofy here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to delete this data just because, well, I hate to delete it, but this is so not accurate. It's not helpful, if that makes sense. So I started bragging on the data being good, but now it's not. So that's a problem because I can't tell you anything about January because this is such insane data. I don't trust it. February, we got it. And again, even if it's 0 and 0, like cool, like put a 0 because when it's blank, I'm like, I don't know if it hasn't been filled out or if it's zeros. So I'm going to put zeros, but well, I hate to even put zeros because I'm going to assume zeros, but if zeros were here, I'd know we don't have any. So the ad spend seems fine. You're getting way more applicants than I think you even need. The 8% is a little low, but when you're only spending $1.30 per applicant, 8% is fine. 16 interviews. It's like, yeah, that should absolutely be like 3 starts, 4 starts. But have you had any starts in February? I guess it's February. We don't even know. This should be filled out.
We did. We have had a lot of starts and lots of letting go. I mean, I feel like every week we're starting 2 people and letting go of 2 people. So it's like.
So step 1 is just what I was trying to brag on you. Now I got to yell at you. Step 1 is we have to have the data. So when you're like, and I think with the staffing and scheduling people, they can obviously put in your Indeed spend. They can obviously put the applicants because they have access to that. The interview people, I think you have to tell us who shows up because they're not physically there, and then certainly starts and stops. So you can either fill out your tracker directly or give that information to your whoever's doing that for you.
Yeah, Bambi's the one that's been doing that for me. So I just need to get with her and make sure that she is entering the right numbers.
Well, you just have to get it because she has no idea when someone starts or stops unless you tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's step 1 because you're like, I had a bunch of people start and a bunch of people stop. I'm like, that could mean a lot of things. So step 1 is get your January, February, March filled out all the way to the bottom. And but I just, without the data is really nothing I can't give you any insightful help.
Well, I guess my question is how I need to improve my questions with these people because when they're doing
I don't know that. Please go with the data because you're making assumptions without any data. And that's where people go, I get this all the time. My hiring ad sucks. And I look, they're getting applicants for $1.40. It ain't your hiring ad. So I don't know that it's again, please don't go. I just want to skip the question. I just want to skip the data part. Let me just tell you what I think it is. I think it's the questions. I'm like, it may be, it may not be, but I don't want to try and solve the wrong problem. Please, please, please. It'll take you 5 minutes to get the data, get that filled out. And we might come to the same, yep, we got to updo the questions, but this is important. Let's get it right. So take 5 minutes. All right, Hayatt, did you were you able to get all that data right, lady? All right, let me pull that thing.
And it's sad.
Thank you. Now I can give.
I have just something to point out. The one where it says 10, 3 of those were hires, but they didn't show up.
So the reason this says starts and not hires is because it is starts.
Okay.
So a hire is not a start. A start is I showed up for 1 minute and then I did 1 minute's worth of work and then I left. That's a start. Okay. I was invited to and accepted the working interview, but did not show up to the working interview. That's not a start. That would be a group interview.
Okay. So then I need to remove 3 from the team.
This would be 7.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then we would also remove 3 from the 9 because they can't stop because they never started.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Cool. And again, it's not a huge deal, and then you could put, because I'm not saying we don't want that information.
Note. Yeah.
No, like just so we all know. 3 people invited to working interview. No showed. Okay, super helpful. Wait, was that in March? Or no, that was in February, you're saying?
February. And this was mainly my employees that hired, because I was basically like gone for the entire month of February. So they were doing the interviews. I was helping with the one-on-ones through Zoom or FaceTime.
Well, don't do the one-on-ones Zoom, do in person. Especially if you don't do the one-on-ones on Zoom, do in person. Especially if you got a high churn problem.
Yeah, well, I was out of town, so we did it that way this time. But
wait, why did you do this that way this time?
I was out of town. I was in Arizona.
Oh, you're out of town. Okay. So then how many cleaners do you have?
1, 2, 4 now.
Then if I was out of town, I would have tried to have 3 of those 4 people, each one do one do the group interview, one do the one-on-one in person, one do the working.
Okay.
And it's tough because when you're like, well, I was out of town, and if you're out of town, for sure, I wouldn't, I would rather you're not doing any of the interviews. But the problem is when you do it on Zoom and you have those people that were invited because they went from the one-on-one and they never showed for the other, it's like, would have they shown up to the non-Zoom? Don't know. Had you invited them in person, they got to know you in person as opposed to then would have they, I don't know. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like another variable that we have to but take into account. Whereas if it was just the standard process, I should say, of one employee does a group interview on Tuesday, one does the one-on-one on Wednesday, you invite them to come Thursday, and then they don't show. It's like, okay, we know it's not that. But when you're like, oh, those were all the video interviews, I'm like, well, that could have been one of those 3, could have been none of the 3, could have been all 3. So we're trying to, one of the reasons we want to systematize process is we can split test stuff and there's fewer variables and we know quicker where the problem was. So like my testing this time is going to be, don't do any more video interviews, do one-on-ones. If you're in town and this process isn't working, do one of those, do the group or the one-on-one. I wouldn't probably wait for the working. I'd do one of those. And then you might get the same result and you go, that wasn't it. I'm like, I know, but we had to waste a week testing it because we didn't know if that makes sense. Okay. So.
And now March.
Okay. This is wildly helpful. So what I'm really seeing is this has been happening the whole year, right? They're going out as quickly as they come in. So you've got 21 starts, 18 stops, which is good. That means you've net added 3, but you had 6 starts and 3 stops, right? That's a good way to add 3. 21 hires is a lot of goddamn work to keep 3. So I am going to jump in what part of for March, at least, since March data is very representative. First of all, here's what I would do. I'm going to up my spend. And how do we have 5 people attend the group interview and 6 people start?
I did another from Facebook. So it was someone that I already knew that I wanted to.
But don't do that. They should go through the group interview.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah. So again, part of it's like, you're like, hey, I'm just doing a bunch of stuff differently. I'm like, well, then I can't coach on how to, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're like, I'm doing it this way, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know. But if you do it my way, I know exactly what to do. So step one is to systematize, right? Like, and I would say that was a group interview start, right? Did he do a group interview or no? He only went one-on-one.
He only did one-on-one.
Okay. So don't circumvent the process for anybody. Be in at least one of those interviews, and I'd switch it every week. So like this week I do the group, next week I do the one-on-one, or all the one-on-ones, and I just kind of, and then not forever, but just until I get this churn problem fixed, I'm going to probably be on either the group or the one-on-one every week, and I'm going to show up to the working. Now, I'm not going to do the working interview. I'm going to have an employee do it, but I'm just going to come in and say hi and give them a hug and like, just, you know what I'm saying, just to make sure everything's cool. The big thing I'm seeing is the conversion rate of, here's the problem right here. You can see it skyrocketing. Here, you're hiring on average 13% of the people that you talk to, meaning you're being very selective. Here, you're hiring 90% of the people you talk to. So if they can fog a mirror, we're hiring them. That's the problem. So what I would do is increase this, because you got leads coming in so cheap. Spend $300 and get 300 applicants, and ideally 30 people to a group interview, as opposed to 18. And then instead of trying to hire, of the 18 people that come to the group interview, you hire 16. You know, it's like the likelihood of that being, you know, if you went on 30 dates with 30 guys, the likelihood that 27 of them were good fits, where it would be, you know, obviously you're being too desperate. So that's the next. So 2 action items. 1, start doing the process a little more consistently, just so we get a baseline of like, where's the problem, right? Is it because we're circumventing the system, or is it we're doing the system, but we're still broken? So start being a little more consistent where we're doing it. You jump into either the group or the one-on-one and come to say hi in the working. If you're in town, if you're out of town, don't do any of it. And get more group interview shows up. The ratio needs to be lower. You want to be starting 30%, give or take, of group interview attendees, not 90%.
Right.
Standards too low.
Okay. So do that.
Good thing is I'm giving you this much to do, and I'm guessing this much will solve your problem, but I just want to knock it out forever. Like, I don't want you to just do a little bit for the rest of your life. Like, let's just really get into this thing. And this month, if all you do is like, we hired 6 cleaners, 4 stayed. I saw like Claire did this. She jumped in. Something was happening. They were doing the opposite. They had all these interviews. They were hiring this many. Claire jumped in and was like, hey, your standards are a little off. And she helped get them sorted. You're doing the opposite. Their standards are off the other way. You're going to help them see which are which. And again,
yeah. Well, at first it was like, okay, I wasn't hiring enough. Now I feel like I'm hiring almost everybody that comes in. And I'm getting rid of them just as quickly. So
yeah, because you're hiring 90% of the people that show up. We know that that's not going to be the case. You need to be hiring 30% of who shows up.
Okay.
Yeah, just if you went on 10 dates, the likelihood you went on 9 second dates is almost 0. Probably go on 3 second dates, right? Because, you know, people are crazy. So unless your standards are really low, and you're probably going to not date real well. So we got to raise the standards. And the cool thing is your applications are so cheap. It's like, let's just get double the applications, which will get double the interviews. And let's take about half of the people we're taking now. So as opposed to taking 9 out of 10 interviews, we'll take 7 out of 20 interviews.
Okay.
We'll have more choice. We'll go on more dates, that we'll be more selective about who we have a second date with. That's all.
Okay.
And you will just pop into the process a little more consistently and say, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Easy peasy. I really think if you do that for 2 or 3 weeks, this will all either we'll find crystal clear what the real goddamn problem is, but I'm 90% confident if you do what I've laid out, this is going to just be done and dusted for you.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.